Okay, hi pals, I'm really fucking late with this video. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Casey, and today, on January 27th, I want to talk about the books I read in December of 2024. If you're new here, hi! I had a really terrible last half of 2024 for a lot of reasons, including two of my elderly dogs got really sick, but they're doing really well now. Thank you so very much for asking. And just in general, bullshit. We'll just define it as bullshit because I don't know you. Like we're pals, but I don't know you like that to get into it with you. So I never filmed a December wrap up. I also did not keep track of my books I read in December, and normally I'm so good about doing that. So I honestly didn't even know if I was going to be filming this video at any point in time. So let's get started and talk about all the books I read in December. So I'm going to do something slightly different to what I normally do with wrap-ups. Normally I give you like the full ratings and then superlatives. I think I might actually change up how I do wrap-ups in this next year, just because I want to. Honestly, it feels time to do something different. So that's what we're going to do today. You're seeing a preview of a book I'm going to talk about here in a minute. I'm so sorry. But I am going to do superlatives, not superlatives. I am going to do ratings, and then I think I'm just going to talk about some notable reads from December, because honestly at this point I don't even, like, I could sit here and I could pick out like my best, worst, most surprising, most mad, blah 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 blah, but I would rather talk about the things that I actively really remember than going through and trying to do all that. So let's get started. As you've already seen, I give no rating to Rocket Boys by Homer Hickam Jr., Christmas at Corgi Cove by Annie England Noblin. I gave 2 stars to Model Home by River Solomon. I gave 3 stars to You Like It Darker by Stephen King, Fire Punch Volume 2 by Tatsuki Fujimoto, The Night Guest by Hildur Knutsdatter, A Sunny Place for Shady People by Mariana Enriquez, An Indian Burial Ground by Nick Medina. I gave 4 stars to Memoirs of a Polar Bear, which I have a physical copy of but misshelved somewhere. I legitimately have no idea where this book is, and I know I put it on a shelf somewhere and I cannot find it. We Used to Live Here by Marcus Kleber, and Night of the Living Rez by Morgan Talty. Normally I don't do this, but my last 3 books of the year were all 4.5 stars, so we're gonna have 4.5 star category. And that's gonna start with Private Rights by Julia Armfield, Devil House by John Darnielle, and Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. And I gave 5 stars to Book Lovers by Emily Henry, Authority by Jeff Vandermeer, and Diavala by Jennifer Marie Thorne. So talking about some of my notable reads in the month of December, my hair is annoying the shit out of me. I'm sorry if I'm just messing with it this whole time. Talking about some of my notable reads from December, I'm gonna start with the bad because I want to end on a positive note. And we're gonna start with Christmas at Corgi Cove. This I grabbed for 2 very specific reasons, even though I'm holding 3 fingers up. 2 very specific reasons. Number 1, it fit the buzzword theme for the month of December. And number 2, I really want to continue to push myself and my reading taste to find out if, like, I still feel certain ways about certain genres. So over the last couple of years, I've read a lot more mystery thrillers than I normally would. And yeah, I still don't like mystery thrillers, but I've read more like I'm trying to read romance. Romance historically is not my thing. I don't enjoy it. And starting with You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Koike Mezi, I was like, okay, that's what I need to push myself into next. And so I grabbed Christmas at Corgi Cove because it's just a little Hallmarky Christmas movie in novel form, and I hated it. I really and truly fucking hated this book. Now, the reason I gave it no rating is because they do not need my dumb ass, who reads mostly horror and dark shit, to come in and tank that rating when it is some people's favorite book of all time. Because, like, honestly, it wasn't for me, and that's fine. I think my Goodreads review was basically like, this book straight up was not for me, but if it is what you are looking for, it will knock it out of the park, or something like that. Because yeah, this is just a little Christmas story. I don't even remember names at this point, but it's a Christmas themed romance, very Hallmark movie that is set in South Texas, and I will have a lot of things to say about that here in a moment. And there's this woman who's helps maintain this little bed and breakfast that her aunt and uncle call Corgi Cove. And then a big old real estate man comes in and they're gonna buy it to do condos or some shit. I think it was actually like part of the real estate agency that oversees the local resort that a lot of locals hate because it is just big corporation shit and shuts down mom and pop stores. And he wants to buy it, but they fall in love. It's, you can tell I was over it. And I have to say, I could enjoy like a little kitschy, just nonsense something, but it's infuriating to me to see the geographical anomalies in this book. I'm not from South Texas originally. I'm from West Texas originally. And if you don't know, Texas is insanely big. It's large. It's huge. And so I'm not from South Texas. I still know that Austin or any surrounding area in Austin is so far south that it getting snow on Christmas Day is so anomalous to be laughable. And the fact that it was like, it's a miracle we're getting snow on Christmas Eve was so funny. And it was also talking about like it being in this small town that was just like so far in the boonies. It was also I listened to the audiobook for this, and the narrator did talk like this for all the country people. And while that's fine, it's also really not how people like in rural South Texas are gonna sound. But anyways, I digress. But it was talking about like, we live in the middle of nowhere, there's nothing around, but we're also about a 20-minute drive to Austin. No sense. No, nonsense. Austin is huge. If you live within a 20-mile radius of Austin, you were kind of caught up in the gravitational pull of Austin. And Austin is huge. It is a massive city. It's the capital of Texas. And it's also like, it is the most liberal part of the state. And so being like, we're going to a farmer's market in Austin, which I'm sure has plenty of conservative leaning folks. Please do not get me wrong here. But it was also just laughably country in a way that did not make sense for the geographical location. Plus, Corgi Cove happened to be in this geographical anomaly where it was 20 minutes from a major city, but also right next to beaches and literal coves. And I was like, you are not in Brownsville. You are not like on the Gulf of Mexico. Austin is a ways up from that. It made very little sense to me. And I know there are a lot of lakes and stuff, but also being like, there's a lake so big you can't see to the other shore from it. It was pretty silly. And as I kept going through the book, it just kept getting worse and worse. And I was like, you drove through this place one time and you went, that would be a great place for my next book. All that being said, this book just wasn't for me. If anything I'm saying here and disparaging sounds entertaining to you, you're gonna love it. It's truly a Hallmark movie in a book. It's ridiculous and over the top. And yeah, I had a miserable time, but maybe you'll have a wonderful time. The next notable read that I want to talk about is Devil House by John Darnielle. This, much like Universal Harvester from the same author, I would not recommend broadly or to most people. I really think that his writing and the stories he tells are for, like, I'm not trying to come across like condescending or anything, but I think it's for certain types of people, and I am one of them. I love how meandering he gets, how it's more about side characters and stuff that has nothing to do with the plot than it is the actual plot. And I really love this. I read this over the course of, I think, 2.5 months. And I had a wonderful time with this. This book is following Gage Chandler, which is quite a name. And he is a true crime author. And he has made his fame and his fortune off of taking small town murders, small town crimes, and really looking into them and writing about them. And so he has gone and he has purchased Devil House and he's staying in it, and he is discovering what happened there in the, like, I think mid-80s. This book has so little to do with that synopsis I gave you. It has everything to do with it and nothing to do with it, and that's honestly the thing I liked most about this. I had such a good time with this. I was very up and down with it for a while. Because like the portions where we would follow Gage versus the sections he was writing about other stories, I just didn't find as interesting. I found like talking about I believe she was called The White Witch. There's portions in here from his first novel. I found those portions to be fascinating. The portions talking about like the history of Devil House and what happened there, I was hypnotized by it. Could not have given two fucks about Gage, to be perfectly honest here. When we would go into his sections, I would just kind of be like, okay, let's hurry up, let's get back to the meat of it. But by the end, his sections were the things that I was the most invested in. And I really enjoyed this so much. I enjoyed this, I think, more than I did Universal Harvester. And I like this man's writing. I like it. It works for me. I will, again, this is not me telling you to go out and read this. I think this, again, like Universal Harvester, people will like either really enjoy it or think it is the worst thing they've ever read. And I just happen to be on the side that really loves it. And I'm so glad I read this when I did, and I took the time reading it in the way I did, because it just made the experience so much better for me. The next notable read I want to talk about, and I think honestly might be my last one, has to go to Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Now, the reason I wanted to end with this one and start with Corgi Cove is because you might be like, Casey, not even 10 minutes ago you were saying you are not a romance girly. What the fuck? This does not make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me either. I grabbed this purely because I was like, what's another romance I can just grab and I can just start going down, like, I hate romance. Why am I trying to do this? I picked this one up and read the entire thing in a day. I listened to the audiobook, and maybe it was over the course of like 36 hours, because I started this book before we had D&D one day, and I got about 25% of the way through it, and then I had to continue helping prep the house and then having people come over, and I was like, in my mind, I did not tell my spouse this, hi, this is the first time you're gonna hear this. In my mind, I was like, we could just cancel and I can just read this book. That's fine. Because I loved it so much. This is a romance. This is following Nora, a kick-ass literary agent who goes to bat for her authors, who works hard, and who is always somehow the bitchy girlfriend that gets left in romance movies. And on a trip to a small town that features in one of her clients' novels, she and her sister are just farting around for a while, and then she runs across Charlie Lastra, another person in her circle in New York, an editor who she has terrible feelings towards and hates him so much. It's an enemies to lovers, and honestly, it was probably my favorite thing that I read in December. Not probably, I looked at that list not even 2 minutes ago. It was my favorite thing I read in December. It may have been my favorite thing I'd read in the last 2 or 3 months. It was so good in a way that I just can't describe. It was like, I think the thing that got me about this one, that I'm not certain if I would be able to, like, I'm gonna read more romances next year, spoiler alert, but one of the things I want to try to peck and hunt for in a romance that I particularly loved about this was the fucking banter. Just the way that these two would send flirty, bitchy texts to each other, ooh, really did it for me. It really made me love Nora, it made me love Charlie, it made me want them to not like get together for a while, just so they could continue to be flirty and bitchy to each other. And then it went on for the perfect length of time. It was so good. It was so fun. And I ate this up. This was like a popcorn read. I could not stop eating it up. And I loved it. And I don't know who I am anymore. That's dramatic. I really enjoyed it, and I was so surprised. So please, if you have read Book Lovers or something similar, tell me in the comments. I don't want to just struggle my way through this. I would love people to guide me on this. So if you have any thoughts, please let me know down below. Okay, that's it. That's my December wrap up. I think that's it. I'm sitting here trying to think of anything else I can tell you. And I don't think there's much because now it's almost February and I hated the end of 2024 and I want to be done with it. So I am happy to have at least filmed this. If it sees the light of day, hi, you're wonderful. I will see you next Friday. Please feel free to do algorithm things down below. And I hope you're having a wonderful start to your year. Bye.